Hi and welcome. Let's learn about logins and user roles. By the end of this training, you'll know how to create logins and assign user roles for employees. Let's start with login roles. As a business owner, your business is part of your livelihood, which means you want to protect it. And that might mean giving employees limited access to the Booker system, just the access they need in order to complete their respective job duties. That way you're able to keep certain information confidential. The different login roles you can create in Booker gives you the power to limit the access your employees have when they log in. Here are some best practices to remember when setting up login roles. All employees using the Booker system should have their own separate logins. This practice allows for better management, auditing, and security. Sharing logins across the platform is simply not a good practice, as it can interfere with these important factors. A couple of examples how it can interfere. If you have an employee that moves on to another job but still has access to your Booker account due to a shared login, that means they can still log in, potentially access customers' information, possibly even move or cancel appointments. That situation is easily preventable by giving employees separate logins that we can delete once employees move on to the next job. Another reason why we recommend separate logins is for appointment management. Booker tracks who books appointments or who makes a change to an appointment or cancels it, for example, based on the logins. And to see that information when you are on your calendar and you right-click on an appointment, hover over View and then select View Appointment. In the View Appointment page, we want to look for the History icon. It's this clock with the arrow going around it. And we can click on this to see all of the appointment history. It is tracking the date and time and the username of all changes made to this appointment. And we can think of this as the audit trail. If we needed to see who booked this appointment, we can easily see that my staff member Marilyn booked it. My other staff member Lisa closed it out. Accounts with shared logins do not have this immediate visibility of who's doing what in the account. Let's dig further into the logins and the user roles. As you add your employees into the system and you create logins for them, you're going to assign them different roles for their logins. And we're going to check out a few of these roles and explain the variations between them. For those of us with the admin role, that is the most powerful user role that you can have for the Booker account, and it gives you access to all the areas of Booker, all these tabs and pages within the tabs in the navigation bar at the top, along with having access to system settings. And you can click on System Settings from the top right corner of your account, and you'll see all your settings on the left side there. When it comes to creating logins, for our employees, we have a couple of options. So if we're creating the employee into the system brand new, then we can start by creating the new employee. And within the process we take to create a new employee profile in the system, we will want to check off this option to create a login for them. It will create a fifth step to set up the login for this employee. But it is important to remember that logins are not stored in the employee's profile. We're going to find out where they're located right now. Now, for those of us, maybe we have already built out or entered in our employees into Booker, but we haven't created their logins yet. And that's fine. We can create logins separately from the employee profiles. It's a little bit more efficient to create the login as you create the new employee profile. But if you need to create them separately, from System Settings, look for your settings on the left for logins. And once you're on your logins page, click on the green New User button. Make sure that you select your employee's name from the drop-down to associate their profile with their employee login. And when you create logins for employees, you can choose from the following roles and even mix and match them. Today we'll be focusing on the reservationist, staff, and user manager roles. They're the most common roles used in Booker. We'll also touch on the reporting role, and that's a role that we can actually add on to any of these other roles and discuss how to choose the reports employees can see when they have reporting access. Now, every login role, except for the admin login, will have optional permissions that provide or limit additional functionality that the role can have. Let's start off with the reservationist role. The main thing to remember about this role is that the primary functionalities allow it to book appointments and take payment. So they will be able to see customer contact information like email addresses and phone numbers. Now notice, since I selected this role, I see the optional permissions for it have appeared here. And while the reservationist role is always able to book appointments and take payment, we can choose other functionalities that this role can have as well. For example, we can allow them to void orders or not. When the reservationist role logs into Booker, this is how they're going to see it. You'll notice they have not quite as many tabs in the navigation bar in comparison to the admin. They don't have access to system settings either. Next is the staff role, and that's typically given to the service providers so they can book and view appointments themselves. But you can restrict their access to allow the staff to view only their schedule and appointments. The staff role will never be able to take payment. Now with these staff optional permissions, if we set all of them to yes, that means this staff login can book appointments for themselves and all of the other staff members. They will also be able to modify their own schedule and other employees as well. So again, we have all of these options set to yes here. And when that staff role logs in with all those optional permissions set to yes, this is how they're going to see the system. They're on the calendar. They can see all of the service providers. They would be able to book as well. Now, regardless of how the optional permissions are set for the staff role, they still won't have access to system settings. Now again, with the staff role, with those permissions all set to yes, they can go into the Schedules tab and view and modify all employee schedules. But just as a reminder, when it comes to the time clock, the staff login can only clock in and out for themselves. They won't be able to clock in for anyone else or modify that. You can also restrict access to the staff so they cannot book appointments and that they only see their own schedule on the calendar. So here I'm going to set all these permissions to no. And this is great if you want to prevent your staff members from seeing customer contact info like emails and phone numbers. You just want to make sure, especially create appointments, is set to no. If that one is set to yes, that will allow the staff member to see customer contact information. So if you're trying to keep that confidential from your service providers, make sure create appointments is set to no. And here's what it looks like when that staff role with the permissions disabled logs in. They see the same thing in there. They can only see their own appointments rather than everyone else's. And then when they go to the Schedules tab, they're only going to be able to view their own schedule. Now, something we recommend doing, if you are the admin, go ahead and log in, test out these other logins that you're creating. So that way, if you need to make changes, you're aware of it before your employees get that access. Next, we're going to talk about the user manager role, and that is a role that will automatically check off the reservationist role. But we will see a separate set of optional permissions for the user manager role. And this role will actually have very minimal access to system settings, so they can create new employees or new logins if you allow them, depending on how you set these optional permissions from here. And this is a really great role to give if you have a shift manager or an assistant manager or a trusted employee that can come in and make changes to profiles and logins. And here is what it looks like when the user manager logs in. Since they have that limited access to system settings, they're going to land within system settings when they log in. And again, they only have enough access to help you out with creating employees and logins. Now, one more role that we're going to go over is the reporting role. And that is something we can add on to any of these other roles, with the exception of the admin role because it's already included. But let's go over the process of giving access to reports. This is great if you want to provide transparency to employees regarding their payroll without allowing them to see how other employees are being paid. This role will give access to the Reports tab that you see in the navigation bar at the top, and then you as the admin are able to limit the reports this login has access to. And this role can be checked off in combination with any of the other roles. Just keep in mind that reports are not automatically assigned once you add the reporting role to a login. You actually need to manually add each report you would like to have your employees view and access. Now, you as the admin already have access to all of the reports. And to manually enable reports for your employees to see that you give that reporting role, you need to go to Logins from System Settings. And then you're going to locate the login from your list of logins here. And our example here is to give this login for Kim reporting access. Now, she already has reporting access, and if I look over to the far right, I can see reports location there, and clicking on location will take me to the list of reports that I can choose from for her to access. We do suggest that you go through all the reports here. There are quite a few of them, and make sure that this employee is only getting the reports that they actually need access to. There are a few reports that we do suggest giving employees access to that will allow them to view their daily tips, payroll, and sales information. So within the employee staff section, you will see employee daily tips, employee payroll, and then also staff sales details. These three reports, they are login specific. So that means that it will only show information for the employee that is attached to the login that is viewing this report. So that way, your employees can see their own payroll information when they log into the system with their login without seeing how other employees are being paid. If you have any questions about anything related to Booker, don't forget that the Support Center is available 24/7, and you can get there by clicking on Support from the top right of your account when you're signed in, or by going to help.booker.com. On the Support Center, we can use that search field to find answers to our Booker questions. A search will show a list of articles related to the words used in it. We also have our training center right on the support homepage. The New to Booker section is dedicated for our new users. There's a collection of articles to help you get started with the basics. We do have training videos that can be watched on demand. And don't forget about our other live virtual trainings that we do offer. These live virtual trainings are offered Mondays through Fridays, and they are all free and unlimited for you and your staff to take. These cover a variety of Booker topics, and you can come directly to the Support Center to register. If you happen to have any new employees that need to be trained on the Booker system, sign them up for these live virtual training courses. It's a great way to get them trained and free up some time for yourself there. That is it for this training today. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. I hope to see you in a live virtual training soon. Bye-bye.